Finally, it's arrived. It is Derby weekend, Scarlets against Ospreys, Dragons against Blues. This is Welsh Rugby and this is my preview and prediction, so if you do enjoy, subscribe, like, and let me hear your predictions in the comments. First up, it's Scarlets against the Ospreys. Let's do this. So far in the league, Scarlets have been doing pretty well. Second in Conference B, 3 wins, 2 losses so far, while the Ospreys are second in Conference A with 1 loss and 4 wins. So both teams doing pretty well in the league this season, sitting comfortably in second position in both conferences. Now, the last meeting between these two sides was at Parc y Scarlets back in December 2017 in the Boxing Day match, and the Scarlets ran out 12-9 winners thanks to a try from Steph Evans. Now, let's talk about the Scarlets for a little bit. The Scarlets are a very exciting team to watch. We know that, attacking minded, they want to go forward, play with the ball in their hands and attack the side they're playing against. And we know what they love to do is get a quick ball from Gareth Davies at the ruck, give it to Patch on Patch will field the likes of Hadley Parks or of Jonathan Davies, who came back last week and looked exceptional against the Kings. Exceptional he looked. But there are issues in defence. Against the Kings, there were sometimes moments where you're thinking the Kings, if it was a better side, would be punishing the Scarlets. And the Kings got some nice tries together with some good handling, but some basic errors from the Scarlets. Now, the Scarlets are going to be without Rob Evans, who is out through an injury on his shoulder. That's a big miss at the scrum. And then at number 7, Cubby, or known as James Davis, is out, and that's a huge loss. And I think if he was in the team, the Scarlets would breeze through this match. I really believe they would. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But as I said, Patchell is going to keep the points ticking. He will kick those points. Halfpenny is expected to be back. He will give more certainty at the back. I feel like the fullback from South Africa, who was playing at fullback last week for the Scarlets, was a bit of a liability in defence. Great going forward, you could see that, but defensively not so sure. So Halfpenny will give that a little bit more reassurance. I'm still not 100% certain about his defence, but he'll give that a little bit more reassurance. The Ospreys, on the other hand, go into this game on a high confidence, I would say. 4 wins, 1 loss, and a decent result against Zebra last week, winning out there 22-10. But there's a big question again about the Ospreys, and that is, how attacking can they be? They rely heavily on set pieces on the scrum and the line-up. They have a huge pack and they rely on that so much. And as an Ospreys fan, I am jealous of the way the Scarlets play. They play such an exciting brand of rugby that I would love to see that down at the Liberty. But as Ospreys, we've got a good side going along, and I want to point out one key player who I think is going to make a huge difference in this match, and that Scarlets will miss Cubby because of him. And that is Justin Tipuric. Tipuric has been in exceptional form this year. Some people are saying he's the best player in the world. I wouldn't go that far. But he is exceptional with the ball in his hand, but his defensive game has gone up a notch this season. Getting over the ball at the breakdown and winning the ball, turning it over and getting the ball for the Ospreys. He did it so many times against Zebra last weekend. It was incredible. But there are questions about the attack. As I said, the fluidity of the attack, and as the Scarlets are pounding forward, going forward and attacking us, it will be a little bit of a struggle for the Ospreys. So what are my predictions for this one? Well, I have to say, really bitterly and angrily, as an Ospreys fan, I do think the Scarlets are going to win this one. I think it's going to be an exciting game, great atmosphere down there, it's Derby Day, it's going to be a fantastic spectacle to watch.
So, Derby weekend's upon us, so soon in the season, but I ain't complaining. We've got the West Wales Derby, Scarlets v Ospreys, and then we've got the East Wales Derby, which is Dragons versus Blues, but nobody really cares about that, to be honest. Right, on to the one I'm at, is Scarlets Ospreys. Scarlets, if we start the season, but we did improve against the Kings, but it was only the Kings. Big improvements ahead of the Ospreys needed for that. Ospreys, pretty good start, pretty steady. Still, I think we should beat them, hopefully. But every phone goes out the window, Derby, like I showed last year. Like where we nearly lost to them, but thank God for Josh McLeod. Foxy's back, and that's great news. It's the perfect tester for Europe. Biggest game of the season so far, down pat with Scarlets. Great tester for Europe. George North coming back to his old stomping ground. Can't wait. I want to see him smashed. I really can't wait. It's going to be a great forward battle. You're going to have the great Darren Wynne-Jones for the Ospreys, and Adam Beard probably for a future Welsh international. And we're going to have a great backline battle. It's just going to be a great game, hopefully. But hopefully Scarlets come through, but I am nervous. Ali Davis also going back to his old stomping ground. It will be an interesting game. Fonatia going up against his former club. And yeah, it's going to be a great occasion. Hopefully, I think I've heard there's 12,000 tickets been sold in Parc Scarlets. Hopefully we can get the extra 3,000 to sell it out, as it deserves to be a sellout. And hopefully if we can win, we can knock on and carry on ahead of Europe, and it'll be a great platform for Europe. And also Ospreys, if they win, they'll take great confidence, but I am hoping for Scarlets to win. And if you're bored Saturday night, just tune in for Dragons with Blues. I won't.
So the Dragons are going to be taking on the Cardiff Blues at Rodney Parade. Now, the Dragons so far this year have won 2 and lost 3, while the Blues have played only 4 games so far. They have a game in hand. They have won 2 and lost 2. Now, the Dragons have been a strange side this season, showing glimpses of some really good rugby and some not so good rugby in other games. Last week they played against Glasgow and unfortunately lost, but we did see those glimpses and we did see some improvement from them. The week before they beat the Zebra quite well at Rodney Parade. It wasn't a great spectacle of rugby, but they won, and that is really, really important. But at the Dragons, I think we have to be realistic with where the Dragons are at the minute. They are not a team that really are going to be competing at the top of the table. We know that. And we know that Bernard Jackman has got to stay there for the next few years. Because the Dragons changing coaches every 2 years, it's not long enough for that coach to do what he needs to do. You can see the Dragons are building something. Great players such as Alwell Robson coming through at fly half. He's exceptional talent. Really exciting to see him. And Bernard Jackman's playing him. But if another coach comes in and decides to play someone else instead of him because he's so young and inexperienced, then we lose out on him and a possible Wales player in the future. So I think the Dragons, we have to be realistic about where they are, and I think they're going to struggle in this game. Simple things such as missed tackles were creeping into the matches over the past few matches for the Dragons in the Pro 14, and with Cardiff Blues, with a player such as Hala Hollow, who is absolutely fiving at the minute, and with beautiful steps and footwork, they're going to struggle to stop Cardiff Blues. I really believe that. Anscombe is on form as well for Cardiff, and they look good. My only concern for Cardiff would be that they start games very slowly. Dragons, of course, will be able to take advantage of this if they can. Last weekend, Cardiff Blues played against the Cheetahs and were 21-7 down at one point, but they did come back to win that match. But Cheetahs this season are not the same Cheetahs that we saw last year. They're just not as good as they were, and you'd think a better team would be able to change that and get the win and finish the game off. Speaking about Hala Hollow, what a season he has had so far against Munster. He was world class, played pretty well against the Cheetahs, and I have made a video about him after he came out and said he would like to play for Wales after being born in New Zealand. There will be a link to that in the description, and check it out in the I button as well, and let me know in the comments what you think. So how do I think this match is going to go? Well, I can only see one winner, and that is the Cardiff Blues. I would be so surprised if the Dragons manage to get a point out of this, a losing bonus point. I would be really, really surprised. The Dragons don't score many tries, and defensively they're pretty weak, and by the end of the game they seem to tire quite a lot. And the Dragons, you look at their bench compared to the Cardiff's bench, it's just not up to the same level, and they are going to struggle. So Cardiff Blues to win this one in my opinion. But guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. So there you go, those are my predictions for the Derby weekend in the Guinness Pro 14 for the Welsh sides. Make sure to let me know in the comments below, who do you think is going to win? Subscribe, like the video as well, and share it with your friends. I'll be back on Monday with the Welsh Rugby Show, rounding up the action from those Derby matches, so be sure to check that out then. Thanks for watching, take care, peace.